Your dog just leaned their entire body weight against your leg.
Okay.
You probably smiled, maybe reached down to pet them and thought it was adorable. But what if that simple gesture is the most profound thing your dog does all day, and you've been completely missing what it actually means? Most people think leaning is just about affection or wanting attention. It's not. The truth is far more complex, and when you understand what's really happening in that moment, everything about your relationship with your dog shifts. This is one behavior that deserves your full attention, because the dogs who lean are telling you something most owners never hear clearly enough. Let's start with what actually happens inside your dog's body when they press against you. Physical contact between a dog and their trusted human triggers an immediate oxytocin release in both mammals. Oxytocin is the same neurochemical that bonds a mother to her newborn child. It's not a preference, it's biochemistry. Your dog is hardwiring their nervous system to associate your presence with safety at the deepest possible level. But oxytocin is only part of the equation. When your dog leans into you, their heart rate measurably decreases. Studies using cardiac monitoring have shown that dogs in physical contact with their owners demonstrate lower cortisol levels, the primary stress hormone, than dogs sitting alone just 3 feet away. Same room, same environment. The only variable is touch. Your dog isn't just seeking comfort. They're actively regulating their entire physiological state through you. Now here's what makes this even more significant. Not all dogs lean. Some breeds are more inclined toward it. Great Danes, Mastiffs, dogs built with enough mass to make the gesture unmistakable. But the behavior itself transcends genetics. A dog who leans consistently has made a very specific decision about you. They've designated you as their primary secure base, the one fixed point in their world that doesn't move. Think about how selective that actually is. Your dog encounters dozens of humans throughout their life. Veterinarians, groomers, neighbors, visitors in your home. They don't lean on those people. They tolerate them, maybe even enjoy them, but the lean is reserved. It's given to the person whose scent means home, whose voice means safety, whose presence means the world makes sense again. But there's a shadow side to this behavior that most people completely overlook. For some dogs, leaning isn't just connection, it's dependency. And there's a line between the two that matters more than you think. A dog who leans when you sit down together in the evening, relaxed and calm, is expressing trust. A dog who cannot function when you're not physically touching them, who paces and whines and escalates the moment you stand up, that's a dog whose nervous system has become reliant on your body as the only available coping mechanism. The first dog has a bond. The second dog has anxiety that's been accidentally reinforced into a pattern you now have to live with. How do you tell the difference? Watch what happens when you move. A securely attached dog will lean, enjoy the contact, and then calmly return to their own space when you get up. An anxiously attached dog will follow you immediately, reestablish contact, and show visible distress if you prevent them from doing so. One is sharing space. The other is clinging to a lifeboat. This distinction becomes critical when you realize how many owners unknowingly create the second scenario. Every time your dog shows mild stress, a loud noise, a stranger at the door, anything that elevates their arousal, and you immediately provide physical contact to calm them down, you're teaching their nervous system something you probably didn't intend. You're teaching them that they cannot regulate stress independently, that the only pathway back to calm runs directly through you. Repeat that pattern enough times, and you get a dog who cannot be alone, cannot settle, cannot exist in their own body without your body as a reference point. The leaning becomes compulsive. And what started as a beautiful expression of trust turns into a behavioral limitation that controls your entire life. So what does healthy leaning actually look like? It's selective. It happens during moments of genuine connection, not constant need. It's pressure without panic. Your dog leans in, absorbs what they need, and can walk away without distress when the moment ends. There's a completeness to it. They came, they connected, they're good. You'll also notice timing patterns. Dogs lean more during transitions, right when you get home, right before bed, first thing in the morning. These are the threshold moments when their world shifts from one state to another and your presence helps them navigate the change. That's normal, that's healthy, that's a dog using you exactly the way a secure attachment is supposed to function. But here's something almost no one connects. The dogs who lean the hardest are often the ones who've lost someone before, rescues who were rehomed, dogs who lived through the death of a previous owner, dogs who spent time in a shelter where everything familiar disappeared overnight. These dogs understand something most family-raised dogs don't. They know that the people they love can vanish, and when they finally find someone who stays, the lean carries weight you can't see. It carries history. If your dog is a rescue and they lean on you, what they're really saying is this: I've learned that humans leave, but I'm choosing to trust you anyway. That's not casual affection. That's courage. And that brings us to the question most people never think to ask. If leaning means this much to your dog, what happens when you're the one who pulls away? What does rejection feel like to an animal whose entire emotional architecture is built around proximity to you? It feels like the ground disappearing. Dogs don't process rejection the way we do. They don't rationalize it, contextualize it, or tell themselves a story that makes it hurt less. When you push them away, when you step back from the lean, when you ignore the contact they're attempting to make, their nervous system registers one thing: abandonment, not the intellectual concept, the physiological state. Heart rate spikes, cortisol floods the bloodstream. The brainstem, the most ancient part of their neural architecture, begins running the same threat assessment it would run if they were alone in the wild with no pack protection. And your dog has no way to understand that you're not rejecting them permanently. They only know that the thing they needed, the thing that has kept them safe since birth, just became unavailable. And they don't know if it's coming back. This is why behaviorists warn against using isolation as punishment. You think you're teaching a lesson? Your dog thinks they're being exiled. The psychological difference between those two experiences is enormous, and only one of you understands which one is actually happening. So if your dog leans and you consistently move away, if they nudge your hand and you pull it back, if they seek contact and you deny it repeatedly without explanation, what you're creating isn't a more independent dog. You're creating a dog in chronic low-level panic who has learned that their primary attachment figure is unreliable. That's not training, that's trauma induction. But here's where it gets more complicated. Because some dogs shouldn't be leaning as much as they do. Some dogs have crossed from secure attachment into anxious dependency, and continuing to reinforce that pattern isn't love. It's enabling a nervous system that can't function alone. The question isn't whether you should allow leaning. It's whether the leaning is coming from a place of connection or a place of fear. And the answer to that question determines everything about how you respond. If your dog leans during calm moments, if they seek you out when they're already regulated, if the contact feels mutual and optional, lean back. Stay there. Let them have it. That's a dog building a bond. But if your dog cannot exist without physical contact, if they panic when you stand up, if every moment you're home is spent pressed against you with no ability to settle independently, you're looking at something different. You're looking at a nervous system that never learned to self-soothe. And the kindest thing you can do is teach them that they're safe, even when you're not touching. Start small. Sit next to them without contact. Reward calm. Let them learn that proximity doesn't require fusion. Then build distance incrementally. 3 feet away, 5 feet. Different room, door open. What you're doing is expanding their window of tolerance. You're showing them that safety doesn't live in your body. It lives in the environment you've created together, and that environment holds even when your hand isn't on their head. This process can take months. It will feel like you're withholding love from a dog who desperately wants it. But what you're actually doing is giving them the gift of resilience. You're teaching them that they are whole, that they are safe, that their nervous system can return to baseline without you as the manual reset button. That's not cruelty. That's the foundation of a dog who can actually enjoy life instead of spending every second managing the terror of your absence. And then there's the other side. The dogs who stopped leaning altogether. The ones who used to and don't anymore. If your dog is pulled away, if they've stopped seeking contact they used to ask for, don't ignore it. That's not independence. That's shutdown. Dogs don't outgrow affection. They withdraw from it when it stops feeling safe. Something shifted. Maybe you got busier. Maybe your energy changed. Maybe something happened that you didn't even notice, but they did. And now the behavior that used to bring comfort brings uncertainty instead. So they stopped offering it. This is fixable, but only if you're willing to meet them where they are. Get on the floor. Sit in their space without agenda. Let them approach on their terms. Don't reach for them. Let them come to you. And when they do, when that first cautious lean finally happens again, stay completely still. Let them set the pace. Let them rebuild the trust you didn't realize had fractured. The lean is not a small thing. It never was. It's your dog's way of saying, you are my safest place. And whether they're doing it too much or not enough, whether it's rooted in security or fear, whether it's growing or fading, it's telling you something about the relationship you actually have, not the one you think you have. Most people go their whole lives never realizing their dog was speaking to them this clearly. You don't have to be most people. Watch the lean. Understand what it's asking for. Respond accordingly. Because the dog pressing their weight into your leg isn't asking for much. They're just asking to be seen. And after everything they give you, that's the least you owe them. The next time your dog leans against you, don't just smile and move on. Stop. Feel the weight of what they're actually doing. They're choosing you, again, out of every possible place they could be, every corner they could retreat to, every spot in the house they could claim as their own. They're choosing your side. That choice is the entire relationship distilled into a single gesture. It's trust made physical. It's love without language. And it's happening right now, in this moment, waiting for you to recognize it for what it really is. Your dog isn't just leaning on you. They're telling you that you got it right. That despite everything you second guess, everything you think you're doing wrong, everything you worry you're not giving them, you became exactly what they needed. The person worth leaning on. The person worth trusting with their full weight. The person worth staying close to when the world gets too loud. That's not nothing. That's everything.